Okay, I'm Father Jim Reeds. I'm here for the second time with Bellarmine students to build houses in Mexico. And you can't help but notice as we move in, the world really changes after we cross the border. There's a lot of really tight, close development near the city. As we go on, it's going to get more and more less developed. It's going to be an extraordinary experience, I think, for all of us, but especially for Bellarmine students, as they begin to experience a wider view of the world, really practical, and how a lot of people in the world live.
What I found pretty ridiculous was, like, there's a huge disparity in wealth. I mean, like, you've got the really nice, like, Home Depot right here that's in, like, perfect condition, and then you have what's out there, and it's like, how can, like, those exist right next to each other? I mean, it's like, there's no real, I don't know what it is. There's just no connection between the top and the bottom here, and it's just ridiculous.
So right there is the fence line for the border. We're now traveling along the border in northern Mexico on the way to Tecate, but that's the actual U.S. fence line along this mountain here. It's a little bumpy right now, but you can see that border line just goes all the way down the mountains. It's a pretty impressive sight. Also carries a lot of meaning as well, but
Go help. I mean, it sounds like really fun. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm excited.
What do you hope to gain from the experience overall?
I don't know, kind of a realization that I know that I'm very lucky and to be, at Bellarmine, but to go and see kind of how the other side lives and ground myself in that I'm. Okay, I mean, sometimes you don't feel like life's worth anything, but to see people.
Ministries. He originally with Chris Marcourt started our trip at Bellarmine, and he has a long history with us in our 17 years of coming to Mexico. He's Howard. Just if you could answer a couple of questions. Really, why is this impactful to the families? And number two, why is this a must-do for us as a community?
Well, as far as the families go, it's obvious when you see the conditions they're living in that they need housing. And when you think about housing, it's everything that has to do with the welfare of that family, with their health, the kids being able to stay in school, just growing up with a sense of self-esteem about themselves. Some of the places these people live in are so horrible that they just have a terrible life. So building a house is really huge.
Everybody worked together. We had a lot of fun. And I think we're in the bus now, and I think everybody feels we really accomplished something, I think, for these families. And the reason why I come down here every year is, first of all, a reality check for myself, but I also, you really see a family, community, and this side of the border, I think some Americans have a lot to learn from Mexican culture, the closest to families, the values they have. Can teach us a few things, and also in
que todos les vaya bien en esta casa, en nuestra casa. Es un placer conocer a ustedes. También tenemos algunas cositas con el ayuda de toda la gente aquí, todos los muchachos. Les presentamos con algo para comprar los mandados, lo que sea en nuestro pueblo de Tecate, ahí en Calimex. Usted necesita presentar todo esto con el papel para poder usarlo. ¿Okay? Entonces también le damos un poquito de moneda para poder alcanzar a cualquier cosa que ustedes necesiten. Y también to be leading groups down here with the More Ministries, and how did you get involved in this?
Yeah, so for me, I started doing these trips back in '97 with my high school group, And started about 4 years ago now, I was able to start coming down for a month every year during the springtime. And for me, it's an opportunity to work with students, to kind of work alongside the students and kind of show them what it means to be serving those in need. And to be able to use kind of my gifts and abilities in building and construction and all that stuff to work with kids to help them build homes for the families who need it most is, for me, it's my vacation every year.
Lissandro, go ahead and just share some of your thoughts going on this trip and what it means and how you...
So, I just saw it on Facebook. Kind of question, I was interested because I haven't done it twice before when I was here at Bellarmine, the junior and the senior. That being said, it's just an opportunity for me to give back. I mean, we always talk about giving back and how many of us really do that. I know it's difficult because when you're working, you're alumni, obviously you have work, you have loans to pay, we're all busy. But for me, to sacrifice 3 days out of my vacation schedule to come out, which for me is worth it.
This trip to me just means so much now, being in the corporate world, corporate lifestyle. We don't get a break from it, from reality too often, and this helps me kind of balance out my own personal life, and it forces me to, of course, get down and dirty, the hard labor of it, everything. It's like a perfect trip wrapped into one, where you just, you get a healthy dose of what the rest of the world is experiencing, or some people, in the world. So for me, it's very important that I expose myself to this.
Juan, y él vive aquí. Aquí estamos en un pueblito afuera de Tecate y él quiere decir a ustedes qué piensa sobre la acción de hacer las casas.
O sea que todo esto que están haciendo pues es una bendición para nosotros, ¿verdad? Es una bendición porque ahorita en este tiempo como estamos no es fácil pues que nos hagan esto, ¿verdad? Y pues, estamos muy agradecidos nosotros con todos ustedes y ¿cómo le puedo decir? Pues gracias y no tengo palabras pues para agradecerles a todos ustedes, a todos.
Gracias, Juan. Sí. ¿Qué piensan ustedes de la casa?
Está muy bonita. Está muy bonita la casa de mi mamá. Y la casa que hacen está muy bonita. Les agradecemos porque nos agradecemos por nuestra ayuda.
Bueno, gracias por tu ayuda también. Ustedes están haciendo un buen trabajo. Gracias. Para usted, ¿cuál es el significado para usted?
Bendiciones. Lo de la casa,
sí,
son bendiciones. Bueno, yo así lo tomo. Como bendiciones que pues Dios manda, o sea, a los ángeles que son ustedes, porque se negación por ustedes no tuvieran casa.
I met a guy in town just this last year who came up and introduced himself to me. As you mentioned, Bellarmine's been coming for 17 years. I've actually been here 18 or 19 years. This guy comes up to me and he says, "I know you." And I says, "Oh." And he says, "You built my house 20 years ago." I was flabbergasted. I couldn't believe that this guy would just come out of nowhere and say that to me, and I was just overwhelmed by that. And all I could think about for the rest of that week was that this guy's family was benefiting from something we had done out of faith way back in 92 or 93. So yeah, it has a huge impact. He told me all about his family and how the house really transformed their life and how grateful they've been, and they've never forgotten the group that came and asked about the group. So yeah, it's a huge impact. As far as the students themselves, this thing is a win-win. I mean, the family wins, but the students win too. When I think of, go back 18 years, and I think, do the math on that, that's close to 1,000 Bellarmine students who've had this experience. Their lives have been influenced by this. If you multiply that out by how that's affected their families, their communities, many of them have gone on to do amazing things in the area of public service based on this experience. And they'll tell you that when you meet them and ask them, what was the most amazing thing that you did while you were at Bellarmine? And they'll say, this mission trip.
All right, everyone up here. Everyone up here.
Smile.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.